Hi, yes, thanks for coming in. I thought we'd just start with something light. Why don't you just describe yourself? I'd say I'm pretty adaptable. I'm hardworking. My family always says that I'm very caring, kind, compassionate. Yeah, so just tell me something in your clinical experience. Tell me a situation that went right. One of the things that I thought was cool to see in clinical, we applied the stuff that we learned in class. So in class, I always say someone's desatting, you raise the head of the bed. And I got to apply that in clinical where we raised the head of the bed and we saw an immediate result. So it was nice to see evidence-based stuff working. Okay, and can you tell me something that went wrong? Okay, so one mistake I made when I was documenting on somebody's vitals is that I forgot to look at how many liters of oxygen they were on. And I had this feeling that I should I'll look in the computer and see what the last person documented, but I was like, it's probably easier if I just walk down to the room and look. And when I looked, the oxygen wasn't even turned on, which was wrong. They had just been transferred back from IR to the floor. So I just think it tells a story about how sometimes we rely too much on previous documentation instead of our own assessments, which I think are more important. How did COVID impact your clinical experience? Yeah, no, definitely. I think historically students usually have 3 days of clinical. We only get 1 day a week of clinical. So we're at a disadvantage there. But when there's a disadvantage, you always have to compensate. So for me, if I didn't get enough assessments done, if I feel like I didn't have enough experience, I go home, I watch YouTube. Then I go to work. If there's ever a nurse like, I'm about to go do an EKG, I'm always there to be like, yes, I didn't get to do this in clinical, so now I get to do it while I'm at work. And what are you most proud of? I work in a mental health facility, and I think the thing that I'm most proud of, the thing that gives me the most purpose, is when patients come in, they're very confused, disoriented, they have no control over their thoughts, and the things that I do and that my coworkers do, we help put in motion their ability to gain more control of their minds. And you get to see that progress, I think, is the thing I'm most proud of. It's interesting that you bring up work. My last question is, tell me about a time at work where there was a conflict and you helped resolve it. Okay, well, just talk about one thing that happened today. So there's a patient, she's borderline, and she's chewing on her fork from dinner. And she has a history of cutting, so two of my staff members, I overheard them saying all right, we gotta put our hands on them, we should just intervene. And it didn't feel right to me because you could tell by her disposition how she was acting that she didn't really want to hurt herself. She was chewing on something to alleviate anxiety. So in my mind, it's least restrictive intervention. So I sort of approach her, I'm sort of trying to feel it out, and then I get this idea. I'm like, okay. I go to the office, I get a cup of ice, and she's up at the nurse's station, she wants attention, she wants to be seen. So I put the ice in front of her and I say, can I trade you? You got her trust. So I traded her ice for the fork. She said that she needed a trash can. Trash cans everywhere, but I just went and got her one because she's a borderline. You don't challenge them. You just fix the immediate threat, and it was over with and done. So the conflict between me and my peers for how to resolve the situation was you just do the least invasive thing. And I thought it worked out. Thank you for that. Do you have any questions for me? I do, actually. What does success look like in this position? So we measure performance individually, of course, but the gist is that we want you to have drive and confidence, and we want you to follow the policies and procedures. And if you ever happen to make a mistake, that you tell on yourself quickly so that you show that you're learning, because the learning here never really stops.